When people talk about economic wisdom, they often point to long-standing financial powers in the West. But if we shift the lens to the East, China, Japan, and the broader Asia-Pacific, we start to see a different kind of economic intelligence. One rooted not just in numbers, but in strategic patience, demographic realism, and a deep awareness of global dependency cycles. Let's begin with Japan. Despite years of being labeled as stagnant, Japan has been the quiet master of financial endurance. With a massive national debt, yes, but also with low inflation, social cohesion, and a culture of long-term planning. Japan pioneered ultra-low interest rates and yield curve control, tools now used by central banks across the world. Its demographics may be aging, but its society remains remarkably stable and technologically advanced. Japan teaches us a core economic lesson, that efficiency, not just growth, can be a viable long-term strategy. Now to China. China's economic wisdom has often been misunderstood as brute force growth, but behind the numbers is a more nuanced plan. State-backed industrial policy, massive infrastructure investments, and a digital currency rollout that could reshape global trade logistics. But that growth engine is now slowing. Domestic consumption isn't replacing export dependency fast enough, and real estate, a long-time economic driver, is now a liability. Yet Beijing continues to play the long game, betting on regional influence through the Belt and Road Initiative and internal reforms like dual circulation. What we learn from both China and Japan is that while Western economies often emphasize quarterly performance, Asian economic planning tends to operate on a generational scale. Now, let's zoom out. The global economy isn't just about trade anymore, it's becoming increasingly geopolitical. Over the next 12 to 18 months, expect economics and diplomacy to merge in more obvious ways. Here's what we see unfolding. 1. Currency and trade realignment. The US dollar's global dominance is being quietly challenged, not just by the BRICS, but by bilateral deals in Asia and Africa that bypass the dollar altogether. China is promoting the yuan in regional energy and tech trade. India is experimenting with the rupee in cross-border settlements. The implications here aren't immediate collapse, but slow diversification, especially in global South partnerships. 2. Technology as economic battlefield. From semiconductor supply chains to AI chip bans, technology is no longer just innovation, it's a lever of power. Japan and South Korea are becoming indispensable partners in chip production, while China races to reduce its dependency on foreign tech. These shifts mean that supply chains will be redrawn based on strategic alliances, not just efficiency. 3. The energy pivot. Asia is also where the future of energy is being decided. China leads in solar panel and EV battery production. Japan continues to invest in hydrogen. Meanwhile, geopolitical hotspots, like the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait, are becoming critical for oil and gas transport. Any disruption there would ripple through global inflation. 4. The demographic divergence. While much of the West faces aging populations with declining birth rates, Southeast Asia is booming with young labor markets. This creates new economic centers of gravity: Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines. China, facing its own demographic cliff, is adjusting by automating and reshaping its domestic supply chains. 5. Central bank strategy versus political pressure. Watch carefully how countries balance inflation control with growth. The Bank of Japan is slowly easing off ultra-loose policy. China's PBOC is trying to stimulate without overheating. In contrast, Western central banks, especially the Federal Reserve and ECB, are caught between inflation and stagnation. Political pressure is rising everywhere, because monetary decisions are no longer just technical, they're geopolitical choices. So what does this all mean for the global citizen, investor, or policymaker? It means we are entering a phase where economic moves are no longer separate from foreign policy. Sanctions, tariffs, and capital controls are tools of diplomacy. Trade deals are geopolitical statements. And supply chains are expressions of trust, or mistrust. Asia, with its history of long-term thinking and regional coordination, offers valuable lessons. Economic wisdom isn't always about fast growth or market highs. Sometimes, it's about slow pivots, risk mitigation, and being patient when others rush. Over the next year, the biggest economic developments may not come from GDP figures or stock markets, but from where alliances are made, and where the rules are quietly renegotiated.